All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap on the third side. We actually, it was funny. We kind of went straight to everybody agreeing that this was an issue. Okay. It really was. That's what everybody was agreeing that this is more, it wasn't just not classified, which is the way they wanted to talk about. We didn't agree on everything. We listened, we laughed. And at the end, hopefully, we respect everybody even more than when we started. So please subscribe. Please check us out again. And please check us out in the future as we try to get to that third side in our third side convo. We'll see you again next week. Thank you.
Okay,
Whew.
we're gonna link the Zoom call in.
With the, like some tweaks to the approach. I dig it.
Yeah,
I really
apologize.
Really do. So,
See you,
Jeff. My friends, always great to see you.
Jeff, you go.
Hi, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll throw him in there. Yeah, Johnny, one thing we were saying, and this one was so current, I'm not even sure if you could have, Googled or Chat GPT'd it enough to, figure out what the pluses and minuses were of this one.
There's not enough info out there.
Yeah, I am wanting for a little bit more. I know it's getting out there. But Ted's right. They couldn't have picked a more fun journalist to add to the thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Serious. That's
Trump
what I was saying. I was like, this guy out of
I know.
all people were at it. I mean, it could have been anybody else. And it could have been somebody from the Orlando Sentinel accidentally, and it still wouldn't have received this level of
ready to take over there
for press that it's receiving.
Tell me when you're ready and you take over.
Atlanta.
Well, I thought Johnny's comment on being conspiracy wasn't against you, Ted. He was just saying they meant to do this.
You're right.
That's fascinating.
Bill Russell in a text email message exchange back and forth. He said the same thing. It was just a Trump, reverse mind game.
A mind game by the administration is what you said, right? I think that's exactly what I heard. Yeah.
And so I think it doesn't matter now. It's off.
Well, it is. Hey,
he just likes doing it.
Hey, Ted, wasn't the conversation interesting, though, what they were actually talking about? They were like going, one of the guys was saying, no, let's not do it now. Let's wait. Another person was going, no, we need to get rid of now. Then another guy brings Europe into it. I just thought it was a fascinating conversation.
One of the defenses from the cabinet and the White House is that, well, this shows you the sound decision-making. And there was a lot of good sound decision-making going on. Okay. And it was a very successful attack. Now, come on, the Houthis aren't exactly the German 5th Division in World War II. What we are doing now, though, what we apparently have expanded, we don't just bomb where they launch their missiles. We start bombing their homes where people are.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, well, we are in the after show.
So we got to let them in.
First and foremost, we got to ask our peanut gallery, which we have Joe, Jeff Barrett, Michael Heavener, and everyone else logged off real quickly because they don't want to give their opinion. So let's start off with Jeff Barrett. Jeff, what are your thoughts? What did you think about this?
Well, I thought everybody had great points. I mean, Jeff was talking about the gross negligence and the lack of archives with this. I never heard of Signal. I don't know anything about it. I barely know anything about Snapchat. I know what WeChat is. And Johnny, I thought, was very honest with wanting more details, wanting to let it unfold a little bit. I thought it was funny. Ted had a good point about how many phones, like, what is the alternative? If you're not going to use any of these apps, which is the wave of the future for everybody, like, how many burner phones are you going to have? I mean, what would they do? Just put up like a burner phone vending machine just outside the conference room? And Michelle also talked about the big gaffes that were done and what a big error it was. And I agree, somebody needs to be held responsible. Whether what Jeff offered was they should resign, which that's not going to happen, or like Michelle said, somebody should be fired. But doesn't all this a moot point because we all know Siri listens to everything we say anyways?
Exactly.
I mean, so what are we arguing about here? I don't know if you guys heard, they got all the home apps together. They had Google, Alexa. They asked Google, they said, Google, are you listening to our conversation? And Google gives under FCC rules and communication laws, blah, blah, blah. And just as a disclaimer, they asked Alexa, are you listening? Well, under FCC rules, it's against the law. Hey, Siri, are you listening to us? Nope. And now learn about Apple's approach to privacy at apple.com.
That's great.
Exactly what Siri just said.
What I
now she's on board.
Jeff.
What's that?
I said, I'm just wondering though, like when you look at these top musical artists like Beyonce or Taylor Swift, when they are working on a new album or whatever the case is, obviously they sit there and they transfer the information sometimes to other artists or whatever. So I'm wondering though what form of communication that is used, because they try to put the utmost level of security and they don't want any of that information to get out. So I want
to you're talking about like new music, lyrics, stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, movies and movie scripts and stuff also are right in line.
The same thing. Absolutely the same thing. And I kind of wonder what kind of medium is used though to transfer information.
You're saying the government could the government learn from that? You're saying if they were as secure as the music industry?
Absolutely, maybe possibly so. I mean, maybe.
Well, you know what the problem is, Michelle, is the government has budget cuts now, so they can't afford that high-tech stuff.
That's right. He's getting rid of all the services. That's right.
Well, those are actually great questions, Michelle. And part of the thing you have to look at when you deal with that is the fact that we have changed our technology over the years quite often across administrations. I mean, since Reagan and the other times, and yes, I will go ahead and reject myself for using the term Reagan, but for past then, we have changed from BlackBerry to other forms of instant messaging services and so forth over the years to make sure that we were able to communicate well with parties that need to be. And unfortunately, changing hardware over and over again became a real problem. Back only four administrations ago, we had big problems with the hardware failing that was specialized just for the government. So they have now utilized more regularly accessible hardware, but now concentrating on the software to be done. So the software that was used was approved by the DoD, and it was a separate version of the software just for the DoD. So it was considered to be government secured. It was designed to be government secured. So the big faux pas is that someone decided to include this person into that list. The software itself right now is not to blame. Whether or not we like it or not, we still have to be able to communicate with people. We have to be able to allow someone into that government circle quickly. No matter, you can't just mail them a phone and say, okay, now you can use this phone. We have to have a system in place. And this is what we've done as a nation. So technology-wise, we are doing what's right. We've already have a system that was chosen to be using. It is approved in a separate version for the DoD. So it's just not a blanket version everyone can use. And whether or not it keeps records or not, that's a good question. And that'll be something that has to be looked at. But more importantly is someone chose to include someone on that list that they knew was going to be hurtful to the country. The fact that that person chose to publish it, I don't know, Ted, you're a journalist. If you received data like that you knew would hurt the country, would you publish it? Or would you say, you know what, this is not something that's just, let me go ahead and find an authority to give this to and say, hey, this is not good. We don't want to put this out to the American public because this was hurt the country. Isn't that what a patriot would do?
Oh boy, it happened all the time in World War II. The Army would go, or the military heads would go to the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other major newspapers, AP, UPI. They say, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. You're going to get information on it. We'll give you more information after it starts or after it's underway a good day. But they were saying, don't leak anything. Lots of leaks would come out. I mean, you're talking 4,000 or 5,000 people involved, something like this. Somebody's going to tell their cousin, who's going to tell their brother, who's going to call the New York Times and say, hey, remember me? Well, this is going to happen. And they would say there would be embargoes. It's called an embargo. You cannot.
Do you think giving this information to someone who dislikes the current administration was going to be in any way, shape, or form favorable to the administration or the country?
I'm not sure I quite understand. So this information was given to what?
To someone who specifically dislikes the current administration.
It wasn't given. He was just included.
Given access to it, correct? He was provided access to it,
So
whether
exactly.
accidentally or on purpose.
He wasn't given as in, oh, by the way, Jeff, I'm going to give you a present. He was just included. He didn't even ask to be on the chat. Someone put him in on the chat, probably because the initials JG were for somebody else. And that's how it happened. Now, how Mike Waltz had Jeffrey Goldberg's phone number on his phone is a question who remained to be seen. But the fact of the matter is, he wasn't given. It wasn't a plan. I think it was completely accidental, a complete oversight.
It could have been.
And I'm hoping that's the case.
Well,
I really am hoping it's the case. But if you received something like that, would you publish it as a journalist? Or would you say, maybe I shouldn't because it would be not good for the country?
Well, you know, Joe Boy, he didn't publish this when the bombs were falling. He waited 2 weeks. That's the other thing. He didn't publish this right away. He waited 2 weeks before it came out. So that's the other thing. He didn't say, hey, everybody, look at the story in the Atlantic. As you know, the jets are returning to base. This is what I got. He waited 2 weeks. So that right there shows some responsibility. And he didn't release the CIA director's name. It came out, but he didn't release it.
So do you think it would have been more responsible to say, hey, listen, I got top level material and this is what I got. That's the story. Or, hey, they said all these despairing remarks about England and this, that, and the other during their conversation.
There's a difference there? All the time too. That happens all the time. All that's negotiated. If you go ahead of time and say, you know, I mean, just go watch All the President's Men or go watch any major stories. They call them ahead of time and say, we have this, we have that.
And that's not the case here. So that's why I'm trying to see.
So
now I see Joe has got on from the, he is actually, his photo has popped back up on the Zoom call. So he may have an opinion. Joe, what do you think? And now he realized we called on him. So now he's smiling. He me like, damn it, that Joe boy called on me.
Exactly. Like, why are you calling me?
What's that?
So hit the unmute button,
He's
Joe.
still muted.
Let us know what you think. And he put out his video. Unmute.
Yeah, we got a lot of shy people. Y'all aren't shy, thank God.
No,
oh, my word. No, I agree with you, though, Ted. It looked like Ted, you know, Goldberg didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what it was. And it was interesting. I just love the conversation. I thought
okay, Joe's unmuted. Joe, what are your thoughts?
There we go.
Stupid mistake.
You don't think it had any intentional material? It was purely innocent that it went to someone that completely dislikes the current administration?
I don't know. I just think it was an incompetent mistake, and I don't know why they just can't say, hey, we screwed up.
Well, but we need something. Hey, Joe, we need something to talk about, don't we?
True.
Jimmy,
like there's not enough going on right now.
Well, till the next thing that happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think some heads need to roll for it, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that everybody that has been put on the cabinet that many people disagree with, that they shouldn't be there because they're completely incompetent, according to a lot of newspaper people, do you think all of them should be fired, therefore getting their wishes?
I mean, there's a lot of short bus kids on that cabinet. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Short bus kids.
I mean, let's just be honest.
Oh, yeah. You got to read into that one. That was funny.
Yeah, you just made Ted stay there, Joe. I'm going to get Joe on. Joe's been the one that used to watch these peanut galleries while his son was practicing football. So he'd be on the sidelines on his phone on the Zoom. So we've got to get Joe on the actual show. So I can't wait to see Ted and Joe together.
Joe's, how old's your son, Joe? What position does he play?
Defensive tackle.
Oh, how old is he?
He does what?
He's defensive tackle on the kids' team, on football team.
Yeah. He's only 12.
What grade is he in?
He's only 12, but he's 5'10".
Oh, there you go.
Now, does he do Pop Warner, or are you doing one of the other ones?
He does both flag and Pop Warner.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the flag is pretty big now. Do the kids really like the flag football? Because that wasn't around, not much other than,
Yeah, I have to. I have to schedule. I
There you go.
have to schedule meetings with him and call his assistant, see when he wants to spend time with Dad.
Oh, you're second, huh? Or third or fourth, maybe, huh?
When it comes to Pop Warner, the first one is the coach. You're with them day in, day out, 5 days a week. It's, oh gosh, it takes so much time.
Yeah.
So I do have a question that I'm interested in Jeff and Ted's and Joe's and even Michelle's opinion on is, do you think that the journalist who released it in the way released it, instead of saying, I have some material that was shouldn't be published and the administration let it out, but I'm going to keep it safe because I'm a journalist and I'm going to give back to the government, but they failed in this way. Instead, he released a lot of the material. Should he have any problem for releasing top secret material? Should there anything happen?
They should have never denied it. They should have just been like, we made a mistake. So he had to call him on it.
So nothing should be done to the journalists at all for giving out that top secret material?
Well,
No.
Joe Boy, they ran before Congress and the officials, and they said nothing was classified in that discussion. And they said,
okay, I was
release
unaware.
material.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's their argument. That's their argument.
That's their argument.
And so the response was, well, then release the material then. And so that's why he released even more texts. So, yes, there was
I think it may be interesting to have a show on whether or not we should have recordings of every conversation, because at some point we have to determine who should have the right to see it. You know, there are a lot of conversations that we don't want to be out in the public. I mean, I'm sure every conversation that the leader of Russia and certain people in the United States have should not be recorded and be given out. And same thing with other people, because someone's going to use it to hurt either our country or theirs. And so why in the world would you want to do that?
See, that's
why I said it was a dumb mistake.
It doesn't hurt, Joe Boy. It's for history. You know, they have the conversations that go on in the office and they're recorded. They can come out 5 to 8 years later and you just give a better context and look back of the history that was going on, the decisions being made. That's what it's for.
I think if someone turns around and makes a deal and then under the table goes, well, he fell for that, would probably be hurtful even 8 years later.
It comes out all the time, Joe Boy.
Yeah.
And usually it doesn't take 8 years.
You certainly won't fall for that later, or anyone else in the future won't fall for that tactic later.
They still do.
It sounds pretty newsworthy to me anyway. Ted, what do you think? Pretty newsworthy?
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, you know, when you are in office, everything that comes to you and across your desk, that is not the property of the person in front and sits in the desk. It's the property of the U.S. people. And so that stuff is kept and recorded and put in boxes and goes to the National Archives. All that stuff. You come over from Ghana and you want to give the president a pair of elephant tusks. They don't go to the president. They go to the U.S. people. And it goes to a museum someplace or at a storage in Arlington, Virginia. But it's not his. It's theirs. It's ours. So same with all the documents that come across the desk, which Trump obviously rips up and throws down the toilet. So that's what's, I know, there you go. But that's what, that's the problem.
No,
I got it. Hey, they've all
the Orange Avenger.
Yeah. But it's funny. I mean, you're right. How many classified documents is found in how many garages, bathrooms, cars, and everything else over time? Jiminy Christmas.
A lot.
Yeah,
Trump
and we don't want otherism, okay? I know. You're doing great, guys. Listen, this was kind of a fun topic. It is weird that we actually were able to pull it off, even though, Joe, you might not know this. You didn't come on the call earlier. We only chose the topic right before the show, so there was no prep for anybody. I thought everybody did an outstanding job, okay? It was what we were supposed to do. And then at the end, we found some agreement. What more can we do?
This was more of a conversation than a bunch of people spouting off their expert thoughts and opinions. In fact, we had a lot of people say, I'm not really positive, but this is my opinion. And I think that is a lot more fair. And it doesn't mean you can't pull out your tablet and go look on YouTube and say, hey, I found this from this source, except for then we'll be debating on which sources are true and everything comes from one side or the other. It must be false. And that's unfortunately a shame thing. I mean, we just did a Rotary meeting where we talked about the disinformation and the distrust in media. And it was very interesting because the lady came in from WMFE. And so, that's very much a neutral spot. And then they declared all the partners they had. And they had 8 that were very much left-leaning publications and 2 that were neutral and nothing that was on the right. And they says, this is what we're going to do, and we're all going to release the same stories. We're going to pick reporters from each person, and then we share the stories with the other outlets so that only one story goes out. And I'm like, wow, isn't that kind of removing the variety and options and multiple sides of the story? Instead of 10 stories going out, only one's going out with a guaranteed stated plate. And so I'm concerned because I love the idea of sharing resources, but there is distrust in the media, partly because not all the sides are getting shown.
Yeah, that could be a show.
Yeah.
Well, what'll be fun is here's what's
Like
funny.
that's like the whole press pool thing going on.
Yes. We could have talked about. So that will be interesting. What is going to be the thing that hits us over the next 7 days that all of a sudden it's like we got to talk about it because there will be something. I can guarantee you. There's a lot of emotions going on. None of us here are giving up. Okay, we're gonna keep talking.
What about the measles outbreak? And then Kennedy hired a noted anti-vaccination person to head up a study of vaccinations.
What, John F. Kennedy headed up somebody? John F. Kennedy put somebody?
RFK.
Oh, that guy. Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. I don't know.
You just cut 10,000 people out of the Health and Human Services. Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna have to make an animation for name drop. I'm gonna eventually have to make one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Well, we could, but what?
I'm really good at name dropping.
What's that, Joe?
Really games.
He's at RFK. I was like, he's crazier than 2 possums in a bag.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, guys. Well, I think the episode worked. I don't know. Anybody else want to share some thoughts? If not, we'll get off the air and we'll we got to watch the Gators play tonight anyway. So the Gators are on, and
that's right. Bob, I got to ask one last thing now.
Yeah, please.
At night, can you hear your son's feet grow? I just want to know.
I always said I wanted my daughter to sleep in a box so she wouldn't grow over a certain size. It didn't work.
She's not a fish.
Just some boys when they take off, man, you can hear, you could see it. You can.
You're talking about Joe, yeah. You're talking about Joe's son.
Sorry, Joe, yeah.
Oh, Joe's son, Joe. Yeah. Joe's son is such that you get to the end. You go about 5 months and he's already outgrown his shoes and his clothes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I still outgrow shoes with 3 or 4 months exactly.
He's walking in on me with the pajama pants that I wasn't sure he had on the night before. I was like,
"Oh my God!"
I was like, "What happened to those?" He's like, "Nothing." And they're hitting him at the knees the next morning. I was like, "Jesus."
Yeah, that's amazing. It is such a wonderful time, though. There's probably no better time than you're going through right now, Joe. We're so excited for you.
Well, this is another good example that people of different political ideologies can still be friends and still have polite conversations and still, at the end of the day, care about each other's families and be nice, even though they may disagree on subject matter.
Yep.
So, Joe, I got to ask this too. I mean, do you get nervous sitting next to him at breakfast or dinner? Because you might lose.
Dinner. After practice, dinner.
Actually, it was breakfast because me and him, we get up in the mornings and we go work out. So he eats his breakfast like a hardened prisoner. He's
shoveling it in.
Doesn't breathe. Just doesn't breathe. Yeah. All he does is just get stuff going into the mouth. Yeah. Well, what do you think, Joe? What do you think at the age of 17, 18? What do you think? 6'3", 220, 320?
No, he's going to be taller. Daddy, how old?
Yeah, he'll be taller than that because I'm 6'5", so they already predicted he's going to be taller than me. So yeah,
I love it.
Now, does he play basketball at all?
No, I want him to go back to baseball.
Yeah, that's the safest one. I'd agree with you there.
That's his better sport.
Yeah, your career can be longer.
Eye for the ball, but yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He thinks he's in He thinks he's impressing dad by playing the sport I played. So I let him hang it.
You want to give an outro, Bob?
Yeah, I wish it was back in the good old days where you played every sport and you didn't have all this team sport. Depending on the season, that's what we played. All right,
Exactly.
well, let's go on and close it out here. Again, thank you so much, everyone. This has been a great show, and please subscribe. Go into YouTube. Go on thirdsideconvo.com. Subscribe on Facebook. Share it. Make comments, and we'll see you next week. Great to have you.
See you.